Welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show, presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki with Don Bailey Jr. This weekend, the University of Miami goes on the road to take on the Eagles of Boston College the day after Thanksgiving, a 12 o'clock kickoff from Alumni Stadium. I love these day after Thanksgiving games. Miami's coming off a tough loss. Gave it a pretty good go against Louisville and came up 3 yards short.
It did, Joe. Well, Joe's been back-to-back tough losses. I mean, you had the ball driving the field against Florida State, and your quarterback gets hurt, and you're out of luck right there. And then you have another opportunity where the game ends on the 5-yard line at home against a top 10 team. So Miami has closed the gap, but they just got to knock the door down.
Boston College will give Miami some interesting challenges.
Yeah, they will. I think we're going to see for the first time this year a true running quarterback. Their quarterback, it's all about him. He'll throw it and he'll get it up. And if you take a look at him, his great throws are great. Now there's some throws in between that you can make some plays on, but he's an outstanding runner.
Final regular season game of the year. We'll talk about Boston College and look back at Louisville with head coach Mario Cristobal coming up next. Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to the Mario Cristobal Show presented by Kia. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal with us on the show. This weekend, Hurricanes on a Black Friday game, day after Thanksgiving, take on Boston College, 12 o'clock kickoff from Boston College, from Alumni Stadium. Coach, another tough one against Louisville. Hard-fought game, came right down to the final seconds.
Played hard, fought to the end, but certainly not enough. No consolation prizes. Back to work and find ways to get that breakthrough and come out on the winning side of these kind of games.
But Coach, you always have to look for progress, and whether it's game to game, week to week, game by game. But when you look at your last 2 ball games, you asked to have the ball the last drive of the game, and you did, and came up short, unfortunately, at Florida State. You were driving, and then literally at the 5-yard line here.
Lots of progress, 2 weeks in a row, 2 top 10 teams, and opportunities to win the game, to take control of the game. And again, we're moving in the right direction. A lot of guys making plays, a lot of guys stepping up, of all ages, older guys, young guys. And the gap has been closed. We want to close it all the way and then take that jump. So right back to work, identifying all the things that we can do to get better. No excuses, no nonsense, no noise, no BS. Work, get better, go forward.
You were part of a breakthrough at Oregon. As you see this getting closer, how do you know that you're right on the brink of a breakthrough? Are there signs that tell you you're right there going into a game or maybe during the part of a schedule? How do you know when you're right on the edge?
Well, I think it's what everybody else probably sees as well. Upon arrival, that was a very challenging situation. And games, for the most part, weren't very competitive, And now every single game is coming down to either us coming out on top in the fourth quarter or in overtime, or us battling and coming up short in the fourth quarter or the last possession or the last whatever it may be. So that progress and that closing of the gap is very real and evident. And it keeps our players enthused. Like, we know we're getting there. We are not happy with not being there, but we're certainly not discouraged because we're not there yet. We see the progress. We feel the progress. We feel ourselves getting better. We feel development. And we know for a fact, undoubtedly, that nothing's going to stop us from getting there.
Coach, you work hard through an entire season. Towards the end of the year, the hits add up, and you feel good one play a year, right? The first play, and then from then on, you're playing with injury. But Saturday was Leonard Taylor was in warm-ups and couldn't go at that point, and you've already lost Kelly and Mesidor and that whole gang. How has that affected the structure of the defense, and how has it affected the game plan?
Well, 3 of those guys were starting for us, so that's a challenge for our defensive line coaches, for our defensive coordinator. But we certainly make no excuses. Leonard tried all week long to get himself in a position where he could play. It was touch and go, didn't happen. So next couple of guys had to stay up. So it affects the rotation, but it is what it is. It's football. That's a position that happened to take a massive hit throughout the course of this year, and you know what? That's why we got to keep developing depth and recruiting depth at that position.
Mark Fletcher gave you another 100-yard game, but I thought what was even more impressive in this one, adding to the bludgeoning runs, was a breakaway run, 55-yard breakaway run where we saw an extra gear.
Yeah, he hit 20 plus miles per hour, I believe, on that particular run. What's just as impressive as what he does in protection. I don't think anybody realizes how advanced he is as a freshman in picking up, blitzers and understanding how protections work. But those linemen, those tight ends, they love blocking for him because he reads things correctly and he gets downhill in a hurry, and he's going to break tackles now. He's going to make it hard for people to tackle him, and and the competition, that running back room has made him better and made everybody else better as well.
Coach, let's spend a minute on that. Fletcher, he took a fake, went into the line of scrimmage, and actually peeled out and saved a sack, it looked like. I mean, I don't know if a fifth-year guy could make that block all the time, but also another guy, a freshman, that made a heck of a play was Maui Noah. We saw him out there on that screen, and I would say he got me excited.
Yeah, two very large human beings at their respective positions that are playing. They're playing big. They're not playing like freshmen, which is, again, we want to talk about progress and direction. I think having a lineman and a running back, two critical positions that have freshman starters on there, is a pretty strong indication of the direction and the progress.
Van Dyke got the start the other day. When you look back at it, how did he do?
He did a great job. He did a great job all week preparing. He played really big. He played strong. He was decisive. Everyone is overwhelmingly just proud of him. He played a great game and bounced back like great competitors do. So a tremendous amount of credit goes to him.
Part of the thing that impressed me was the hits he took, and he just got up. I mean, it's football. That's a part of the deal, and he signed up for it. But sometimes those guys linger a little bit after a hit, and he just went right back to work.
Oh yeah, and he went right back to work yesterday and today as well. Popped right back up. Coming sore, but same level of urgency, right? Same demeanor. Just looks like he's having a lot of fun playing football right now. So we're looking forward to just even better and better play from him in the offense.
At halftime, it was a one-point game. You had a one-point lead, and you were seeing that game really clear because you told us at halftime, we got to get more stops. Got to get more stops. And defensive stops were hard to come by. In particular, their tight end. I think they had 4 or 5 tight ends, but they all looked the same. I think it was the same guy, but they all looked the same. Maybe talk a little bit about. Maybe you can discuss a little bit about why they made it so hard to get stops in that game.
Well, they're a good offense, and they made plays when they had to make plays. And sometimes we might have been caught with an eye discipline issue here and there, but our defense has been really good all year long, and this was one of those games where we're going to have to lean on our offense more. Lance Gittery and that crew and that entire, they work really hard at being on point. We got caught a few times, and they made some explosive plays and made it a back and forth game. And we had a chance there at the very end, offensively, to go ahead and put it in the end zone and take this thing into overtime or win it. And we didn't get it done. So take it as a team.
Coach, George and Smith both had penalties at the end of the game that frustrated me beyond belief. And it's something that I know is worked on at practice, talked about, and is really unacceptable.
Without a doubt. I mean, it was directed. It was addressed very directly. That's the best way to put it with the team, because that in essence, and it was addressed just like that's a gut punch to our culture. We haven't done that. We don't delve in that. That's not what we do. It's not what we teach. And by a couple guys that honestly have done a really good job progressing as players, as students, guys that we've been really proud of. But you got to attack that directly, address it directly, and go right at it, handle it internally, and make sure that it's as clear as the day is long, that we're just not going to do that. We're not, at whatever cost comes with it.
There were a lot of stoppages in the game. I'm not asking you to comment on why the games were stopped. That's for me. But just from a game management situation, you might have the momentum, whatever the case might be. With all those stops, does it take everybody out of a rhythm?
I don't think so. I think sometimes, things are maybe overanalyzed. Football is still football, It might for some people, Some people have a tougher time focusing than others, and sometimes they might lose their juice or whatnot. But, I mean, at the end of the day, that's part of the game now, right? I mean, there's TV, there's instant replay. There's all kinds of stuff going on timeouts that you just got to maintain the focus, and you got to make sure that you're teaching that all the time, because the slightest, lapse in focusing could cost you a big play.
Which a big topic has been the Louisville offense, but I want to make sure I bring up this point. Miami's offense had more total yards than Louisville's offense. You're almost at 500 yards, your best output, I believe, since the Temple game, 486 yards.
Yeah, we were. If you look at the game statistically, it was just about identical, except for that last drive, where we didn't score. But everything else, from third downs, red zone, first downs made, yards rushing, yards passing, you name it. I mean, that thing was. We didn't get to their quarterback as much as we have in recent games, so that was a big difference. Their quarterback played a really good game, but just a very even game, where it's a matter of who's going to make one or two more plays more than the other one, and they found a way to make their plays.
When you got down there, those last 3 or 4 plays, looking back at it, what did you see in terms of either what they did to prevent the score, or was it more something that happened in your execution?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think Coach Dawson had called a great game, kept them off balance all day. And then down there, we ran some things that we're really good at running. And they did a good job at stopping it. On the fourth down play, they were definitely in something we did not want to run that particular play to. So we called the timeout, regrouped, called what we thought would work, and had a chance to make it work. We failed to, when I say execute, we failed to get it done.
Coach, let's talk about the reality of progress. When you go back and you analyze things as well as anybody and spend as much time as anybody on earth analyzing, but you compare last year to this year, you compare a month ago to now, this team, whether it's in the recruiting part, whether it's the systems, the talent, everything that you look at, it is moving forward. And you can't deny that.
No, it's moving forward, and it's moving forward in a strong manner, in a sustainable manner. There's absolutely no denying that, and it's not going to stop. It's only going to accelerate more and more. The part that's disappointing, you always want it to end on Saturdays with a W, or on Fridays with a W, right? That's the part that stings and lingers and hurts, and it's brutal, it's agonizing. But all the pieces, all the parts, all the phases, they are moving at a pretty rapid rate, and again, it's not going to stop. And we're looking forward to this opportunity on Friday.
All right, Coach, we'll talk more about Miami and Boston College coming up, but first, time now for our Kia High Performance Moment of the Week. And what a moment this was. Rashard Smith on the end around goes 35 yards for the touchdown. Good vision by Rashard Smith, but really what makes this play go, a lot of blocking.
A lot of blocking is right. The big man, number 61, Maui Noah, he hunts up a guy in the secondary, Joe. And I will tell you, look at him flexing. I'd flex after that block too. That was a highlight film shot right there. You watch him pull out, and he gets out in open space. And what he's taught is never slow down, never break down. And he didn't. And what I like is he tried to pick off number 11 too. He tried to get another one. He was looking for that 2-for-1 shot.
I'm going to summon my inner John Madden. Kaboom!
There you go. And trust me, everybody in Louisville is talking about that too. That young man for Louisville is going to have to live with that his whole life.
Our Kia High Performance Moment of the Week. All right, this week, Friday, Hurricanes take on Boston College at Alumni Stadium at 12 o'clock kickoff, Miami and Boston College. When I think of Boston College, I always think of big offensive line, big powerful running backs, so forth and so on. I look at Boston College and say, who are those guys? The leading rusher is the quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, 196-pound sophomore, and he's their leading rusher.
Fast, explosive, can sling it, big offensive line. We made it very clear to our team this is a tremendous challenge, and I'll tell you why. It's always been kind of the narrative, right? Miami doesn't like going up north at this time of year. It's cold, it's different. This is an unbelievable opportunity to play football. I mean, if you love football, you love going up there in this weather on that turf and slugging it out with a physical team like Boston College. They got big guys, they got strong guys, they got fast guys. They got a lot of good football players. They're in their 4th year. I believe they've assembled a good football team that has had some really big wins this year. And their quarterback, it starts and ends with him. He makes it go in a lot of different ways.
Coach, they've won 5 of their last 7 games, and they are, as you mentioned, I was watching the line of scrimmage play on both sides of the ball. Nothing's changed at Boston College at all. Big, strong guys. Big,
strong, physical, play hard, going to finish you through the whistle and beyond the whistle. So you've got to play with a lot of physicality, and you got to play with poise, right? Because it's going to get nasty, it's going to get physical, and you got to be prepared to do that for 4 quarters and beyond if necessary.
I think they've also added speed. They've done a pretty good job, or at least they think looks like they've changed their footprint in recruiting. They have more guys from Georgia, Texas, and California than I think in the old days.
No doubt. They've got speed outside on the perimeter. They play a lot of man coverage. They cover you down well. They're explosive in the backfield as well. They run you over, run through you. They've got a lot of good football players. I think our guys are very well aware of that watching film yesterday and today.
Coach, talk about the unpredictability of college football. You look at Boston College, they lose week 1 to Northern Illinois by 3. 2 weeks later, they almost beat Florida State. They only lose to Florida State by 3. So each week is totally different.
It is. Everybody has good players. Everybody has good players, and every week you have to plan accordingly. You have to go in there with a good plan, then you have to execute that plan. To execute that plan, you have to have a clear mind. You got to make sure your guys are in a good mental state. It's college football, right? Guys have classes, guys have family issues, it is a 24/7 job, and it's the best job in the entire world, and you've got to pour every ounce of energy and your heart and soul into it to give yourself the best chance. So college football is what it is. You better buckle up, because every single Saturday nowadays, you're seeing what people used to think as the unthinkable, right? Teams are getting beat when they're supposedly not supposed to get beat. So it's better be ready every single week.
I looked at this. I had to look at it twice. I thought it was a typo. I'm still wondering if it is a typo. 4th down. They've gone for it 35 times on 4th down. I know that's the new trend, the metrics. But the metrics never tell you is what happens when you don't make it. But they've converted 74% of the time on 4th down and gone for it 35 times. What does that do to managing a game, maybe from Coach Guidry's perspective, or even maybe from Coach Dawson's perspective, knowing that these guys don't want to give up the football?
Yeah, you've got to play a 4-down operation. That's how you have to think of it, because if it's in their territory and it's manageable enough, they're going to go for it, and if it requires or carries some kind of risk in it in our territory, they're still going to go for it. So that's the mentality. They're going to gobble up clock, but they also can go fast. They have tempo. They mix it up really well. They've had an extra day on us, to be able to prepare. So you have to prepare for a lot of different things.
This game always is, everybody talks about the throw, and we all know what that is, but this game really has always come down to who can run the football, and they're almost running at 200 yards a clip for a ball game. So run defense will be imperative.
Yeah, they lead the conference in running the football, some with their running back, some with the quarterback. Last week you saw it. I mean, they were running up and down the field in different sets, tackles dressed up as tight ends, extra tackles, guards in the game as well, spreading you out and running the football with their running backs or quarterbacks, getting the ball down the field, getting the ball on the perimeter. They just find different ways to move the football, and they gobble up a lot of clock too, So they, I think Pittsburgh was limited to about 52 plays, which is a very low play count. So the value of each snap becomes critically important.
What do you see from their defense? They don't have a lot of sacks, but they do have Elijah Jones, who's top 5 in the country in interceptions in the secondary.
Yeah, but they bring a lot of pressure, and they're hitting the quarterback a lot. And they're pressing the pocket because they have large bodies at defensive tackle, at the 3 technique at the nose tackle spot. Primarily a 4-down operation, but they move it around pretty good. And they're whipping pressure at you from the field, from the boundary, internal pressure from the secondary. Keep you off balance. You really have to have an answer on every play. Calling a play without an answer to one of those pressures isn't very effective.
Coach, also, Boston College over the years has been very solid at the linebacker position, and this year's no different. Their number 42 he's all over the place and looks like he's just a reprint of the guys of the past.
Just some very athletic and heavy-handed guys. So they get their hands on linemen, they shed blocks, and they wrap you up and get you to the ground. They're knockback tacklers. You're not gonna run just right through guys and try to drag them for extra yards. These guys will hit you and knock you back.
You can see, as Don mentioned, they have fight in their program. They've got off to a tough start, and they won the 4 in a row or whatever it was, now lost 2 in a row, but they kind of have stayed with it, and they've offered a pretty good punch to their opponents.
Good football team that plays hard with a lot of pride.
Coach, you've got an opportunity already established about a bowl game, and I know you don't like to look ahead, but that is something that is very helpful for a program and for a football team, all those extra practices.
Without a doubt, and you got to use them the right way too, because at this time of year, your team you've been through a lot, and we're certainly thin at some positions, but not every day is used for a full practice. Sometimes you have the ability to work on special teams. Sometimes it's technique work. It might be a pass rush day. It might be a run stopping day, right? It might be a competitive day, right? Where good is going on good in 2-minute drill, in 4-minute drill, right? It might be red zone day, but you get to work a lot of different things as it relates not only to your opponent, but as it relates to the development of your team and your systems, right? You might have a team activity day that involves strength and conditioning, but also involves these guys spending time around each other, coaches and players. So there's just a lot of value to having that extra time together, because that's what you don't have enough of. You don't ever have enough time.
I did want to mention it is Thanksgiving week, and Thanksgiving week is big in high school football because the playoffs are going on down here. Now, a lot of kids and coaches, it's a real badge of honor to be able to practice on Thanksgiving Day, and I know that's important to you, and you keep a good close eye on that, but this is a big week for high school football.
Yeah, and so much to be grateful for, that we all wear on our chest, man. I mean, we've all signed up for it to represent it to the highest level and pour every ounce of energy that we have into it. I mean, our entire lives are consumed by doing whatever we can to make the U elite, So a lot to be grateful for, a lot to look forward to, and an unbelievable opportunity to play great football on Friday.
Coach, really, when you boil this game down, it's about going 1-0 on Friday, isn't it?
That's it. That's all it is, right? And that's really what it is every single week, right? Is making sure that when you get to game day, that you're at your very best and that you're playing for each other, that you're playing for your program, you're playing for your school. And that opportunity is sitting right in front of us against a tough team in different conditions. It's picture perfect for a Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. Win the last one, that always feels good too. Right?
Without
And
a
that
doubt.
last one sticks with you for a while.
Amen.
All right. The very best of luck and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
All right. That's University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal. Stay with us. We'll continue on the show right after this. Back on the Mario Cristobal Show, Hurricanes in Boston College on Friday at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr. All right, Hurricanes trying to finish up the season with a win.
Yeah, it's wonderful that they are qualified to go to a bowl game, Joe. You get win number 7, then you got a chance to get win number 8, and Coach Cristobal said it. Go 1-0. That's what this is all about on Friday. Be 1-0 against Boston College.
Boston College has always been a tough deal for the University of Miami. And as we mentioned earlier, this is a little bit of a different Boston College team. A little more speed, especially in the backfield.
Yeah, but the line of scrimmage is the same. Even when I played against Boston College, they're tough, they're physical, and it's a bit of a rivalry game. And that's before Doug Flutie got involved in this deal too. But I mean, you look at how this game plays out, it's always physical.
Okay, for Don Bailey Jr. and University of Miami head coach Mario Cristobal, Joe Zagacki, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time on the Mario Cristobal Show.